Welcome to the final round of the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup from Donington Park. It's a 3-race format this weekend, such is the size of the entry, and that includes a well-known guest driver. Matt Suckling is down in the pit garages to find out more.
Paul O'Neill with us this weekend in the BMWs here at Donington Park. You do a lot, of course, with touring cars, but it's nice to have you back racing.
Yeah, it is. It's a privilege to be asked to come and race. I spoke to a couple of the touring car lads, and they were on about the racing and club racing and things like that. And it's just a privilege for me to get asked to do it. And just on my qualifying session, it was frenetic, but it was awesome. It was good fun.
Now you're in a spare car that Owen Hunter normally has. Nick Foster raced it yesterday, so it's had a bit of track time already. How's it feeling this morning?
Feels knackered actually. Nick has destroyed it. No, it's feels cool. These cars are very old. You forget how old they are. I think it was like 96 when these come out, so it was when I was doing my driving test. I remember my mate had one, so it feels good. It's a BMW, so it feels pretty new still. Just getting used to the brakes with them being servo assistants. You don't have to whip them as hard as you do in a touring car, so just getting used to the tyres and stuff like that. I tried to follow Owen, but the first 5 minutes he was gone. He's a quick old peddler, he is, even though he does look 12, so it was good.
What are you going to hope for today in terms of results?
If I can battle in the top 10, I'll be absolutely over the moon. That'll be, it's a day out for me, obviously, to help the championship, get a bit of profile and things. There's been a lot of good drivers in it, as I say, like Nick Foster, Tom Onslow Cole's done it. It's a great championship, so many cars. So if I can battle with anybody and not get any battle scars, then that'll be a great day for me.
It's going to be a very busy track, a lot of cars out there, and a fantastic little championship.
It is. Just from qualifying, then it was difficult to find space. But my experience, I think, is shown a bit there because I just backed off and I got 2 good laps in for me anyway. Where that's put me on the grid, I don't know. But battling with 44 cars that are on the grid, we're going to have different races with a fewer cars in. But really looking forward to it, and it's just a great championship for people to come in, and you don't have to be a multi-millionaire like you do in touring cars to go and drive these things. And I had about as much fun as I have on a touring car qualifying lap, so I'm pleased at the minute, and hopefully it carries on through the races today.
Paul, great to have you here today, and all the best for the racing.
Thanks very much, I'll need it.
Brendan Murphy here this weekend in the BMWs at Donington Park. Final round of the year, how's it been so far for you?
Yeah, it's gone very well. I think I was here practicing on Friday, first time racing at Donington in a few years. It seemed okay this morning, maybe I ran out of a break, but we'll have a look now, see if I need to change the pads.
What kind of racing experience have you had before? What have you done?
I've done a couple of years in an MGB, but most of my motorsport is motorsport rescue. I actually crew the 750 rescue unit, and that's my introduction to the 750 Motor Club. I've been doing that for about 10 years now with the team who are outside offering me moral support. And when I wanted to come back racing last year, this was one of the more attractive championships to come. Nice racing, good organised teams, and nice friendly paddock.
And it's very frantic out there on track, lots of cars as always, so it's going to be some good racing.
Always. I mean, the championships today, Stuart's up at the front and there's some other guys dicing at the front, but beauty of Compact Cup and the championship is there's good racing throughout the field, all of us, even those of us towards the back.
So we had 43 cars out in qualifying this morning, and they've been split into 3 groups. This is Group C up against Group A in the first race of the day, and that pitches Owen Hunter on the front row of the grid against the champion-elect Stuart Voice, having provisionally wrapped up the title last time out at Silverstone. James Nutbrown and David Drinkwater will line up on the second row of the grid. On the third row it will be James Gornall, who made his debut in the Compact Cup at Silverstone, and Neil Roach, Daniel Kirby and Paul O'Neill on row 4. Michael Gray and James Winstanley round out the top 10. On board we go then with Paul O'Neill, the former British Touring Car Championship driver turned TV pundit, as the race gets underway. Heading up towards Redgate Corner for the first time, then on board with O'Neill. We'll see what he can do from row 4 of the grid, but it is Stuart Voice that has the lead of the race then. From the outside of the front row of the grid, he was the fastest man in qualifying this morning by more than 0.4 of a second. 1 or 2 cars going wide at Redgate Corner on this, the first lap of the race. It looks like it's Hunter that has settled into second position just at the moment. Third place, I think, is James Nutbrown in the mainly white car with the green roof. In fourth place it's David Drinkwater. So top 4 drivers in the top 4 places, although not quite in the same positions now compared to when they started the race. And there's Paul O'Neill just going through shot. Michael Gray is there as well in number 19. as the cars now turn their way through McLean's for the first time. It's going to be a 13-minute plus 1 lap race. So looking at the lap times that they're setting qualifying this morning, which was a 1:25.5 for Stuart Voice, we should get a 10-lap race out of this, I would think. Season started here at Donington Park, of course, on the 2.5-mile Grand Prix circuit. We're on the shorter national layout this weekend, which often provides better racing because the two hairpins towards the end of the Grand Prix circuit lap can just split the pack up a little bit. On this configuration, of course, they go right then left through the Robert chicane, which they're doing now. That brings them back onto the Wheatcroft straight. We're looking there at the Daniel Kirby car, number 28. Now, he started on the 4th row of the grid alongside Paul O'Neill. We're alongside here David Drinkwater. He's in 4th place. Now, he's looking for 3rd place in the championship because it's between him and Alex Dew for that position at the moment. As I say, it looks like Stuart Voice has wrapped up the championship. Steve Roberts should be second, barring any disasters this weekend. I think we'll find that David Drinkwater or Alex Dew, depending on how results go this weekend, will share 3rd and 4th positions between them. Alex Dew will see out in a later race. He's been drawn in a different group to the drivers in this one. See Stratton Mackay going through in the number 18 car, the red car with the yellow lightning flash down the side of it. There's James Winstanley in the practical performance car effort just at the front of the group. It turns up to McLean's corner now, someone locking up there. So we're back on board then with Paul O'Neill in the car that is described as the Owen Hunter spare car. It's the car that he began the season with, Owen Hunter having switched mounts during the course of the season, and the one that he's in now seems to be standing him in good stead. He was a whisker away from the podium last time out at Silverstone. At the moment, he's in a podium position here this weekend at Donington Park, and he'll be very, very keen to make that a reality as this race unfolds. Number 81 is Neil Roach, about to be passed there by James Gornall, it would seem to me. James Gornall in car number 10, the car driven by Josh Harvey for the bulk of the season. But that's now been taken over by James Gornall from Silverstone onwards. Those two are running side by side just behind the number 28 car of Daniel Kirby. So this is 5th, 6th and 7th that we're seeing being contested here. In 8th place it is Michael Gray, the Scottish driver, the former Formula Ford 1600 racer, is just behind these two that are disputing the position as they drop down towards the old hairpin once more. Roach, who is someone that we've not seen on the podium this season, we did it towards the end of last season at Cadwell Park, but he's always been there or thereabouts, running up inside the top 10 in the championship this season. I think a few drivers have found that the bar has once again been raised in the Safety Devices Gas Shots Compact Cup this year. Now Roach there just edged out wide a little bit there by James Gornall, who comes into this championship with a good reputation, a former British GT champion of course, but just going back into some club racing now to enjoy his sport. Now as those two have battled, they've brought Michael Gray into this. Now Michael Gray is a driver who's flattered to deceive a little bit during the course of this season. Showed good pace early on in the year, but has not necessarily been able to sustain that as the year has gone on. But 2nd, 3rd and 4th is what we're looking at now. Hunter and Nut Brown, the former Clio and Intercept racer, and David Drinkwater as well, the former Stock Catch racer in the red car. We go on board with him now. Number 77, the man from Fleet in Hampshire, as we watch them make their way up to the right-hander. Drinkwater's jinking to the inside there. He spied a gap as Hunter was trying to defend from Nut Brown on the middle line, and now Drinkwater doesn't quite get his car on the overlap with Nut Brown. The three still very tightly connected as they drop down through the crane, as Dan Kirby a little bit more lonely now in what's that, 5th position, isn't it, for Dan Kirby in the number 28 car. That's the Trade Price Cars entered machine. 6th place still looks to be the number 10 of James Gornall, but this fight for 2nd still very much on. 2nd and 3rd overlapping now. Nut Brown trying to go around the outside of Hunter. He's got his nose in front as they turn their way through the right-hander. Now it's Hunter, the former Saxmax champion from 2012, that has his snout ahead. Drinkwater though spies a gap on the inside. Can he make that into a place change? No, he can't, so he goes back down to 4th position. But it's Hunter there in the familiar number 47, the driver from Westbury, just behind Nut Brown. Nut Brown, of course, wearing the number 88 on the side of his car. He's from Eastleigh, and now he has his nose in front as they turn their way into the chicane, so he has gone 2nd now. And then third place to Hunter, fourth place to Drinkwater, and you just sense that they're starting to bring Daniel Kirby into this as well, and James Gornall for that matter, as they have been battling. They have slowed each other up, and now we've pretty much got a 5-car battle for second position. And in the meantime, Stuart Voice, our champion-elect, has checked out at the head of the field. You can just see him jinking and diving down the Corona curves now. So Nut Brown, in front of a decent-sized crowd here at Donington Park, is in second place. It's been his rookie season as far as the Compact Cup has been concerned, and again he's a driver that has been on or threatening the podium for much of the season. Someone who possibly might be capable of mounting a championship bid next season if he returns to the Safety Devices Gasshocks Compact Cup. As Hunter now is being potentially relieved of third place here by David Drinkwater, with Kirby in behind them as well. Oh, and someone off, it's Neil Roach, and also having gone off is Michael Gray. Now, I suspect those two have tangled. They were disputing 7th and 8th positions, but they've both gone in or through the gravel trap. It looked like Michael Gray, who was in 7th, might escape. It looked like Neil Roach, who was in 8th, might not. So down to the chicane at Roberts, and it's still Voice leading, but Nut Brown second and Hunter third. Drinkwater fourth. Gornall now ahead of Kirby for 5th position as well. That's at the end of lap 10. There's Neil Roach. I'm afraid he's getting out of his car. So the driver of car number 81, who was 7th in the championship last season, the man from Worcester, wrote his 2012 car off in the first race of 2013. He's out of this penultimate race of the season, as into the pit lane comes Stratton Mackay. So he is out of it. Paul O'Neill in car number 2 then. This leaves him in 8th position now for Paul O'Neill, which is where he started the race. He just dropped back and now he's back up into 8th place, but that's mainly because of incidents having befallen the cars ahead of him. They're certainly finding it quite tough going. Certainly no easy ride. British Touring Car Championship race winner or not, Paul O'Neill is right in the thick of it here. And there he goes over the line, number 2, to complete another lap. James Winstanley is at the head of this group, and he's in the yellow car, making his way down the hill now. He races with number 17, and he is running in, I think, 9th position at the moment. Number 59 is also very much in the mix, and that is Jim Benson. But really, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all in a line, completing the positions and competing for the positions in the low teens here. They go up to the yellow flag zone. That's where Neil Roach's car is being rescued. 57, I think I can see there, is Mark Skeets. He's in there. So is number 33, which is Clive Brookson, novice cross on his car. As they now brake for Coppice Corner and turn their way down the straight. So Hunter back to second, so Nut Brown behind him. And Nut Brown's a bit of a mistake there coming out of the chicane. Now that might cost him third position in this race, because through has gone David Drinkwater there, and up into third place. And James Gornall has followed him as well. So that's the fellow Harvey Motorsport car of James Gornall. Has now Nut Brown trying to go back around the outside. They're starting the last lap of the race, by the way, so not much time left in this race now. We have had that change. Nut Brown is the driver down to 5th position, Gornall 4th, and David Drinkwater certainly in 3rd place, as the 2nd place man Owen Hunter does a bit of lappery. That's the car of Scott Lawson, who's the first driver to be lapped during the course of this race. It shows how evenly matched these cars are after 10 laps of racing, all by one of them, which will be, I think we'll have 27 finishes on the lead lap. So that just goes to show how close the racing is in the Compact Cup. Having a look further back, Richard Miles in 7th. There's Paul O'Neill in 8th position. He's not really been involved in that intense a battle during the course of the bulk of this race. It's been relatively lonely, certainly lonelier than it has been for these three. Daniel Kirby, James Nut Brown and James Gornall in the reverse order of their positions. It has been very lonely though for Stuart Voice. He comes through the final couple of corners, up to the line, takes the checkered flag. A dominant performance this by Stuart Voice in the first of 3 races today in the Safety Devices Gasshocks Compact Cup. Here is the fight though behind, and it is going to be James Gornall that comes home in 4th place ahead of Nut Brown and Kirby in the end. Stuart Voice, though, no doubt about him. He is the race winner in the Group C versus Group A race here at Donington Park in the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup. Here are the results then. Voice's victory margin was more than 6.5 seconds over Owen Hunter. His best result yet in the Compact Cup. He was second. David Drinkwater completed the podium. Further back, Richard Miles got the better of Paul O'Neill. James Winstanley and Mark Skeets completed the top 10.
Stuart, another win for this year. Probably the hardest bit of that race was the start, but after that you pulled away nicely.
Yeah, well, it was a hard first couple of laps, but we just managed to get my head down and carry on pushing. We did, and I thought, well, like you said last time out, we would take it easy, but it's not in my nature to take it easy. You end up pushing, you do.
Owen, great to see you on the podium here for the first of the BMW races. How was that one for you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Very hard worked race. I mean, it's never easy in this championship, but once I was hoping to get a good start and get past Stu, but he just lightning off the line. So after that, I just had to hold my own and keep James and Dave behind me. But James got past me, so I just had to hold it there because I knew the car was going to come in a bit later on in the race. But I managed to get past James going down Craners, which was quite brave of me. But it stuck in, and James gave me plenty of room, so I'll thank him for that.
David, great little tussle you had there for the final step on the podium, and you managed to come out on top.
Yeah, it was, I think it was an excellent tussle. I think James and Owen, the three of us were fighting. Problem was we were a bit conscious of who was behind, so you didn't want to bring them into the battle. So I think it played nicely. Looked like it was good for the spectators, I think. So yeah, it was excellent, and I'd just like to thank everyone. Louis helped me out, everything from Maha, TWG and AV Performance, everything. Thank you for them.
Welcome back to Donington Park for the second race of the day in the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup. It's Group B versus Group C, and it gets underway now with Steve Roberts on pole position. He tucks into the lead of the race ahead of Owen Hunter as they head down towards Redgate Corner for the first time. In the second row of the grid was Simon Roach and James Nutbrown. It wasn't such a good start by Roach though. He's lost a place or two, I think, as they make their way into Redgate for the first time. One or two going wide. That may or may not be Jim Benson. Scott Lawson also went a bit wide there towards the back of the field. So it's Roberts leading, Hunter second, Nutbrown looks to have slotted into third place at the moment. Fourth place, that is going to be, I think, the car of Mike Tovey, actually, who's made a very good start to this race because he only started on the fourth row of the grid. 58 and 95 there. 58 Stuart Wright, just in behind the 95 car of Dean Blackburn, but the leaders of McLean's already for the first time in the race, and it's Steve Roberts from Owen Hunter, and then the rest of the field making their way through, and a big field it is. 28 cars took the start of this race. Don't forget the field split into three groups is the format for the Compact Cup this weekend. We had more than 40 cars take part in qualifying. Worth pointing out as well, we've had more than 60 drivers score points during the course of this season, making this without a doubt one of the biggest championships in British motor racing. Probably one of the best as well, with Roberts leading the way then from Owen Hunter in second place, turning their way through the Roberts chicane for the first time. Bit of a gap back then to the third place car, which looks to be Tovey actually. He's made up another place on this first lap, so a great first lap from him. He has gone from row 4 up into third position, somewhere off into the gravel. They will try to rejoin. Who is that? It is the 25 car, isn't it? Which is Darren Ball, another Worcester driver like the Roach brothers. As we watch James Nutbrown, it is in fourth place. Then it looks like Alex Dew fifth. Simon Roach is in sixth position, so he's lost 3 places from his starting slot. Declan McDonnell is the Dayglow car. You can see right in the middle of the shot there, the former Mighty Mini and low-cost champion, coming back into racing in the Compact Cup this season. Most recently before this though, he was racing in the Formula V Championship. A few set-up changes on his car for this weekend. Oh, and off ahead, that was the 34 car of John Watts, who started on the fourth row of the grid. So one of his better qualifying performances, sadly, looks to have gone to waste, as Dew here and Roach are doing a battle for 5th and 6th positions. Dew, as we mentioned earlier on, one of the drivers vying for third place in the championship, along with David Drinkwater. It looks like it's advantage Drinkwater at the moment after that third place finish he had in the first race. Dew, who started the season well, and it's just faded away a little bit for him since then. Brands Hatch, always a strong race for Alex Dew, but doesn't quite seem to have matched up to that during the course of the rest of the season. Here are the leaders through the chicane once more. Roberts from Hunt with only about a car length between them as they come through to complete the second lap of the race. So the ex-Formula Ford champion ahead of the ex-Saxmax champion. Of course, Roberts is the reigning and outgoing champion in the Safety Devices Gas-Shocks Compact Cup. There in the middle of the shot is McDonald. As I was saying, he's had some changes to the car for this weekend. He was hoping that they would stand him in good stead for this weekend. He's not quite up at the sharp end. As we look now at the number 2 car of Paul O'Neill and the Owen Hunter spare car, it looks like he's in a battle this time with Jonathan Davis, the young former kart racer. And perhaps pick up on that one again in a moment. As we're back with the leaders. Third place, Tovey seems to have made his own at the moment. Looked around fairly well on his own in 4th place. Bit of a fight going on for 5th, and there those two going through. You can see Jonathan Davis and Paul O'Neill. As we watch now, Declan McDonald, he's got James Winstanley behind him, and then the sort of pseudo camouflage liveried car of number 13. That's Farad Darver, the army man from Redditch in Worcestershire, is where he is based. There's Paul O'Neill then. Doesn't do too much racing these days, of course. He always takes the opportunity when he's invited to, but not a regular racer. Often seen on the TV screens on the ITV4 coverage of the British Touring Car Championship these days. Roberts and Hunter together. Still Tovey there in 3rd position. Oh, and very tight indeed now between Roach, who's got ahead of Alex Dew, and up into, what's that, 5th position now. So that's a change at the end of lap number 3 of the race, as Paul O'Neill just struggling to stay with Jonathan Davis there, and if anything, that's the fight for 8th and 9th places. Hunter certainly having his best weekend to date in the Compact Cup, having switched from Saxmax to the Compact Cup. Last season he had quite a lowly finish in the championship, didn't manage to do all of the rounds and didn't get that many decent results under his belt, but this season, particularly since the change of car partway through the year, it's gone really well. Silverstone was a strong meeting. He was on the verge of the podium there. Here he's already had one podium today. Could he go one better even in this second race? He's certainly taken the fight to Steve Roberts. It just looks to me as if Roberts possibly has an advantage at certain parts of the circuit, now to be down the straight, but Owen Hunter is very quick through the corners and he's piling the pressure on the race leader there as we see the rest of these cars go through. There's Davis, there's O'Neill, then McDonald and Winstanley. Those two are disputing 10th and 11th positions at the moment. Look to have just dropped Farad Darver as well behind them as well. There's Darver just turning into Coppice Corner now. So the Macatac racing car ahead of the Practical Performance car entered the machine. Someone I can just hear on the klaxon in the background pulling into the pits. Hunter again carries good speed out of the chicane now. Can he convert that into a challenge up into Redgate Corner? He'll try and stick in the toe there as they turn their way up towards the right-hander once more. He jinks out, but he's not really close enough to make that work, and that just suggests that Roberts might have an ever so fractal advantage in straight line speed. Of course, all of the cars powered by the 1.9 litre 16 valve M44 engine. There's the Super Chips control ECU as well. Oh, and it's an eventful race, this one, for the wrong reasons, I'm afraid, for John Watt. He's already had a moment down at the old hairpin. Now he's been helped into a moment at the chicane, and this race is just going from bad to worse as far as John Watt is concerned. The driver from Woodbridge is rapidly going backwards down the order. And something's just fallen off one of the cars there. It might well have been the Jonathan Davis car, just rolling away into the gravel trap. But it's Paul O'Neill that now has got his way in front of Jonathan Davis. So we'll see if Davis can fight back. It'll be a good test of his mettle, this, a relative newcomer to car racing against the more experienced Paul O'Neill, who raced in MGFs, of course, as well as in the British Touring Car Championship. And Davis does go back through on the inside there at Coppice Corner. Well, that's very nicely done. I'm sure O'Neill will be full of admiration for that. He won't be full of admiration for that, though. Who's that is off? It may well have been Farad Darver, looking from where that car disappeared. There's Blackburn in the 95 car with 25 behind him. That's the early spinner Darren Ball and the recovering John Watt make their way through McLean's. Now they're heading into that, what should be a yellow flag zone now, I would think, up at Coppice Corner. We saw that car go off into the gravel. Yes, it was Farad Darva, and Farad is getting out of his car now. Well, he was 22nd in the championship last year. An army officer, not able to do all of the races unfortunately this year. Top two McLean's go the top two, and certainly Steve Roberts knows that he's in a race here. It's interesting, isn't it, that Hunter has pushed Roberts harder than he could push Stuart Voice. Certainly the lap times bear that out, because Stuart Voice got down to a 1:25.99 in the opening race. We've not breached the 1:26s, we've not got near breaching the 1:26s during the course of this race in actual fact, and the quicker of the two drivers up by a fraction of a second, 3/100ths, has been the man in second place, Owen Hunter. So down into Roberts for the final time. He's not close enough, I don't think, to get the lead away from Steve Roberts, but he's had a damn good go in this race. Roberts is going to come through to take the checkered flag, and he beats Owen Hunter by 15/100ths of a second in the end as they go over the line. A very tight finish between them, and it's Mike Tovey in third place after a very strong opening lap, and James Nutbrown again just beaten to a podium position. He is fourth, and a real feather in the cap this for Jonathan Davis, because he's going to beat Paul O'Neill home. He's going to take 8th position, and that's something that he can be very proud of indeed. 10th place is going to be Declan McDonnell. Confirmation of the results, as I say, 15/100ths between Roberts and Hunter. Tovey another 2.5 seconds back in third. Nutbrown, Roach and James Gornall complete the top 6. Further back, the top 10 completed by Declan McDonnell, the fastest lap going to Owen Hunter, but only slightly quicker than Steve Roberts. Well, here they come into the pit lane, headed by Steve Roberts, who is about to talk with Matt Suckling.
Steve Roberts, you took the victory there in that BMW race, but it was a hard-fought one with Owen Hunter.
Certainly was. Owen drove a fantastic race, and I just had the legs of him on the straight, to be honest. I was at about half a car length. I'll pull along the straight, and in the important bits, on the chicane, come on start-finish straight and out of Coppice. We were getting about the same exit, and I was just managing to pull about half a car length, which was giving me in the danger zones, in the braking zones, I was far enough ahead not to have to worry and defend. So it allowed me just to concentrate. I did like 10 qualifying laps and I couldn't get away from him, so he drove really well.
It must be very hard when you're trying to defend and trying to race the circuit as well. You've got two things going on.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I just wanted to win that one. You know, my dad's not too well at the moment, so he's in hospital. So I said I'd go and win for him this weekend. So it was nice to win that one for him. So I want to dedicate that one to him, and hopefully I'll beat my old mate Voicey in the second one and take him 2 wins tonight.
Owen Hunter coming home in second place in that race, and a titanic battle you had there with Steve Roberts.
Yeah, definitely. I kept him honest the whole race. There's a few times I dropped back a bit, but I managed to bring it back around the top section of the circuit. But yeah, I didn't want to try anything too over drastic, because I know it could have cost us both a position. And like I say, if anyone offered me second place at the start of the year, I would have bit their hand off. So yeah, it's a brilliant result.
Mike Tovey, you're starting to get to grips with these podiums now. Another one here at Donington.
Yeah, loving the podiums. Just sick of the sight of third place. I'd like to get a win pretty soon. That would be lovely.
Was it just due to the slow start you couldn't catch the top 2?
Yeah, like I said, I always suffer with qualifying, but once I get into racing off the line, that's it, I'm in race mode. Lap 1 I was up into third, but just that gap was there, so matched on pace with Owen and Steve that we just couldn't catch him.
Paul O'Neill, it's been great having you here this weekend. First off, have you enjoyed the racing?
Yeah, it's been super special, you know, from the racing to everyone in the pits to how nice everyone is. And you know, it's if I had the money to go and do this kind of racing, it's the first thing I'd choose. It's really good cars, powerful, racing's close, no malicious things happening out there. It's exactly what it's about. It's great.
You have a lot to do with the touring cars, of course. How does that kind of compare to this sort of racing?
Yeah, I raced touring cars for 14 years, and you know, it was a job for me, and I had really enjoyed it. And still, I'm around the paddock working for ITV, doing bits and bobs. It's a different thing, completely different thing. You know, this is a very much a family-orientated sport. It's great to see everyone mucking out, you know, helping out these guys. If you've got a problem, all the other teams are in there and helping them out, and that's what it's about. And they do that to an extent in touring cars, but it's just a completely different thing. It's like secrets, hiding, politics, and this is a breath of fresh air to me. It's great.
And if you had any wise words for anyone trying to get into this championship, what would you say?
Well, if you're young, then maybe ask your dad to give you the pocket money that he didn't give you a few years ago and come and do it. But, you know, it's great. It learns you car control because of the rear-wheel drive. The cars are very compliant. You know, you can mess around with them if you're not too happy with it. So it's definitely a series that you should come and have a look at and learn about close racing. There's 30-odd cars on the grid at one time, sometimes 40. So, you know, there's always a battle. So you're always going to learn. That's the best thing about it.
Well, Paul, hope you've enjoyed it, and it's been great having you on board this weekend.
Yeah, it's been great, and thanks for BMW Compact Cup to have me here. It's great.
Cheers, Paul. No problem.
Cars on the grid then for the final time this season in the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup. And on the front row, the two drivers that have done most of the winning and a lot of close racing over the past 2 to 3 seasons. Stuart Voice on pole position, Steve Roberts alongside him on the front row of the grid. Row 2 is David Drinkwater and Simon Roach. Row 3, Neil Roach and Alex Dew. 4th row, Daniel Kirby and Mike Tovey. All set for the off then here at Donington on the national circuit. Green flag is waved at the back, but Mike Tovey is not going to take the start. The man who finished on the podium in the first race has problems. He's called into the pit lane at the end of the green flag lap. Lights go out though, away we go. We'll see if Tovey can join in a little bit late, but we're on board with David Drinkwater, who's not made such a good start as the two cars in front of him, and not such a good start either as Simon Roach, who tucks in ahead of him then as they head in towards Redgate Corner for the first time. It looks like it's Alex Dew in 5th place, and in 6th place Dan Kirby. The leader being for the moment, yes, it is Stuart Voice from pole position that's got the lead away from Steve Roberts there. Now we were saying during the course of race 2 that it looked like Voice had a little bit more pace than Roberts this weekend based on their lap times in the first 2 races, and indeed in qualifying this morning. So it's Voice that leads, Roberts 2nd, Simon Roach in 3rd place. This big field of cars streaming its way through the old hairpin. There is Dean Blackburn heading up towards Schwanzker. We can see the development work being done on the infield there to create fantastic new spectator facilities here at Donington for next season. There's the 81 car for Neil Roach. Now he'll be hoping he doesn't finish this one in the gravel, which he did in race 1, after a little bit of a kerfuffle with Michael Gray. Already Voice just pulling out about 3 car lengths over the rest. Roberts under pressure here from Roach as they head down the Dunlop straight towards the right-hander at Roberts. Drinkwater there in 4th, but it looks like Roach might go 2nd here, but no, Roberts a little bit later on the brakes, it seemed to me, a bit more brave perhaps, and therefore he prevails, at least for the moment. We're only on the first lap though of this race, so it could all change because we should have another 9 laps of action, all things being equal. 2 10-lap races so far during the course of the day. Now that, joining in there, is Mike Tovey, which is interesting that he's been released well into the upper mid-pack there. It's going to be something like about the 8th car on the road there, but he's going to be a lap down from the leaders, of course. He had that pit stop at the end of the green flag lap, but Mike Tovey, well, that could be a spanner in the works for 1 or 2 drivers as this race goes on if he's got any kind of pace here. One might have thought that they would have let the pack go through. So closely bunched was it, but he's managed to join the circuit safely. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th place cars together there. David Drinkwater, who was on the podium in his first race, is amongst them. It's a bit of a gap back to the next car, which is now Michael Gray ahead of Alex Dew and Dan Kirby and Neil Roach. And the interlope there is, as we thought, Mike Tovey in the number 35 car, and well, he'll probably try and just enjoy the battle here. It's not really a battle for position because there's a lap down on the rest. Whether all of the drivers out there will appreciate that, I'm not quite sure. Probably some of them will have seen he wasn't on his good position, and some of them will have seen him join from the pit lane, but others may have been unsighted, so they might not know that Tovey effectively is not really in this race. Great is, though, the Scot that heads this particular group from Alex Dew at the moment, the driver coach and automotive trainer, who was 3rd in the championship in 2013. There's Kirby in the number 28 car, 14th in the championship last year for the man from Chelmsford, now in his 2nd season of racing in the Compact Cup. Through the Craner curves towards the old hairpin once more. a pack of half a dozen cars together here then, headed by Gray at the moment. Gray, who's been a regular this season in the Compact Cup, having started out racing as a 16-year-old in single-seaters in the Scottish Formula Ford 1600 Championship. Showed some good form there. I think it's fair to say finding it quite tough going this season in the Compact Cup. Good, strong opposition. As we've said, the quantity of drivers has been fantastic, more than 60 of them scoring points, but the quality too is, well, second to not very many in the motorsport scene in the UK at the moment. It's a grid that would be the envy of many other race organisers, I'm sure. But the Compact Cup, masterminded by Paul McKernan, goes from strength to strength here. Gray and Dew head into the chicane, but side by side behind them, and that's Neil Roach making up a place on Dan Kirby. So the 81 car now moves ahead, and having had that non-finish earlier on in the day, Neil Roach will be keen to get certainly up inside the top 6 here. Neil looking to cement what would be, yes, 8th position in the championship. So he's ahead of Kirby, he's ahead of Declan McDonald and Jonathan Davis as well, who defeated Paul O'Neill in the earlier race. Side by side between Dan Kirby and Neil Roach now. Roach is going to have the inside line for the old hairpin, so that should count for something, and it does. But Kirby pushing on. Going to be phased there. He wasn't going to be elbowed aside. He's still trying to get back through the left-hander at Schwantz curve now. Almost pushing Roach along. Does he dive out of the toe to try and make a move at McLean's? No, he does not. Some dust kicked up ahead of them. There's Rod Darver. There's the 16 car as well, which is Eric Zaleski from Redditch. Oh, and he just goes a little bit wide there coming out of Coppice corner, loses a bit of time, but no place is lost at least. So Voice it is that leads from Roberts in second. Let's go back to the battle a bit further behind though. That is the battle between Neil Roach and Dan Kirby. Up towards Redgate goes Alex Dew. He's looking down the inside of Michael Gray, about to make that move, I think. As into the pits comes Stratton Mackay. It's not been a particularly happy day for him, but we're looking at that battle between Dew. There he is. Dew now up into a position ahead of Michael Gray. So 5th and 6th there being disputed. As for Rod Darver going through, the Abingdon driver, not from Worcestershire, as I said earlier on. Headlamps on the cars here. We're getting into dusk time here at Donington in this early October race meeting, the final meeting of the season for the Safety Devices Gadgets Compact Cup. Wheel-to-wheel racing though continues. That's Zaleski and the 71 car, which is Adam Reed. Those two, they're fighting for what, 12th and 13th position in the course of this race. There's Dan Kirby just behind Darver then. This is for the lower end place in the top 10, but it's all over for Dan Kirby. He spins around, he's in the gravel trap. It's rather more turbulent than I thought it might be, because he's just managed to get beached right in the edge of the gravel trap there. And on lap 7 of this race, it's all over for Dan Kirby. A flash of the headlights there for Stuart Voice, because the checkered flag has gone out a little bit early in actual fact, possibly because of cars in the gravel trap. So it's a win for Stuart Voice in the final round of the championship, and it's been a 2-second victory over Steve Roberts here. So a convincing performance from Stuart Voice today, and David Drinkwater ends his season with a 3rd place finish. That's all proved by the results, of course. Voice winning by 2.4 seconds, another 1.9 seconds back to David Drinkwater in 3rd. Simon Roach, Michael Gray and Alex Dew complete the top 6. Further back, McDonald, Neil Roach, Rod Darver and Jonathan Davis complete the top 10, with Stuart Voice getting the fastest lap. Championship points confirm victory for Stuart Voice on 602, 27 clear of Steve Roberts. David Drinkwater did get third from Alex Dew, Simon Roach and James Nutt-Brown.
Stuart Voice, there you go, rounding off with a victory in 2014, and of course the championship is now cemented.
Yeah, it is. It's just a fantastic feeling. I started welling up in the car. It's silly, isn't it, where it just gets your emotions going. But yeah, I had a fantastic year, thanks to everyone really, my family, mum and dad.
It's definitely a team sport, everyone coming together to get you that championship, and the pace you've showed here this weekend is the pace you've had all year, really.
Yeah, it is. It's been a hard year. We've never stopped really. My driving's getting better and better. This is my first ever championship win. I've never won a championship before, and my previous car history, it's only been in these cars. It has, so 3 years in a Compact Cup, and it's just a fantastic feeling.
Well, it's been a great season in the Safety Devices Ganshots Compact Cup, and I very much hope that you've enjoyed watching it. Celebrations here at Donington Park for Stuart Voice and Steve Roberts, our top two in the championship this year. From all of us here, have a great winter. Bye-bye for now.